Okay, I don't know what happened. I'm sorry. Somehow or other, it ended the broadcast, and I had to restart it here. So, thank you for worrying about me and in my coming back. I don't know why it ended the broadcast, and I didn't realize I was just talking away and no responses. And wow, I thought, boy, am I boring tonight. Now I found out how boring I truly am. I wasn't there at all. um, so Diana too. Yes, I'm staying on StreamYard. So just to let you know, StreamYard is a tool used on the YouTube platform. So can everybody hear me and see me now? Are we good to go? Um, so anytime I do a StreamYard, that is just a tool so that you can access it off of YouTube, and then it records it and it puts it up to YouTube. So, Lori, can you hear me? Okay, everybody can see me and hear me. I don't know what happened. I apologize for that. I was apologizing for losing. What was it, Diana too, or somebody left because they said, "Where's Lee?" and or "Where is he?" or "How is he?" or something, and I thought, "Whoa, what's going on?" But we've got it solved. Okay. So now the question is, I don't know where where I dropped off. Uh, my recommendations for what you need to do to plan for the inevitable bad stuff that we see coming down. Number one, spend your money on canned goods. Don't spend it on expensive stuff. Now LDS, if you have an LDS Provident Living Center close to you, I would say go there and get some of their canned goods. Their canned flour or their canned macaroni or spaghetti bites or um, beans or anything like that. That's a good investment. And then of course canned goods at the store, the regular store, and everything else. Um, oh wow! I wonder if we're being hacked. We can tell. I don't know. I don't know. Hello, S.J. Mullen. But anyhow, so I would invest my money in canned goods. Uh, corn, beans, chili, meats, things like that, tuna, canned chicken. That's where I think you're going to get more bang for your buck to last a lot longer and to keep yourself fed for a lot longer period. Flour, rice, those simple things. Don't waste your money on spending a whole bunch of money on freeze dried and dehydrated foods. I think you'll be disappointed. They won't last you quite as long in the sense of you aren't going to get as many servings per dollar as you will by using the canned goods you can get at your local grocery store. Um, so that's where I would spend my money if I were you. Um, the second one is medication. I was talking about if you can get with your doctor, if you have a prescription medication, ask your doctor to write that in 90-day increments. So I know there's a lot of insurance plans out there, and I don't know, this may not apply to you. It may apply to you. You don't know, but try, ask if you can get a 90-day prescription. A lot of insurance companies will give you 90 days worth of prescription for the price of one or two. And even if you're only saving 1 month's worth of prescription costs, that's a savings so that you can get more in the future. And then get one or two refills on that if you can. But prescription medications are going to be hard to come by. Hello, Holly. And so I would number one, get as much food as I can. Number two, get as much medication as I can. Number three, I would focus on water. How are you going to get water? How are you going to purify your water? How are you going to store your water? So make sure you have access to water other than your tap. Um, when I take a look at what's going on in the U.S. right now, now remember, I spend all my time as an intelligence collector, intelligence analyst, and I keep telling people I don't have enough data to connect the dots. There's just, people want to say that there's all these train derailments and everything else, but you know what? I can't see anything to connect the dots, but there are sure an awful lot of dots out there that need to be connected. We had another train derailment today in Bozeman, Montana, or just outside of Bozeman, Montana. there is an awful lot of stuff going on that's really, really suspicious to me. I think one of the things that caught me the most was the fact that they had, I think it was 20 or 30 Chinese that they got at one of the crossings, and they were all extremely well dressed, military age. I mean, they had on brand new tennis shoes. They hadn't been walking across the desert. They were bused to that crossing. So, what are young military age single men doing coming into the U.S. on our southern border from China? That's very suspicious to me. Um, oh, okay. So Lori says she's on her phone tonight instead of on a computer. Mark, good evening. How are you? So I just think there's an awful lot of suspicious things going on that you need to prepare yourself for. And I would say prepare yourself to be a leader. 95% of the people out there are going to be totally losing it when anything happens. And so you, by virtue of the fact that you're here, by virtue of the fact that you're part of that 5% who have taken the steps to become aware of and look into and prepare for prepping, you're going to be thrust into a leadership position. You're going to try to save these other people. You're going to have to direct them and train them in what they need to do to survive. Either that or they will become your enemies. And so, I think that's what I want to focus on right now is how can you develop yourself as the leader of these people so that you can motivate them towards something that they can do. One of my biggest problems that I have on YouTube is there's an awful lot of fatalists out there tonight. Not only tonight, but all the time. If there's a nuclear war, I don't want to survive it because they think they've seen Mad Max, they've seen the Book of Eli, they've seen all these other Hollywood movies that show the earth as a total desolate wasteland. It probably is not so. I had a whole bunch of data here that I was going to present at in a video, and but do you realize that less than 40%, and I forget which city it was, either Hiroshima or Nagasaki, less than 40% of the population after 10 years had died as a result of the atomic bomb. 60% survived. So think of that. I mean, that's pretty good odds. So, we got to stop the fatalism. So you've got to become more of a positive influence on people and giving them the hope and the will to survive. And, that's where we got to be. We're going to have to be the leaders. We're going to have to be the motivators. We're going to have to be the instructors, teaching them how to garden, teaching them how to field strip a squirrel, not field strip, how to field dress a squirrel, a rabbit, a deer, whatever. I would not go out. Now, I tell you what, I have no intention of going anywhere close to a forest, probably for the first year after anything happens. I'm afraid of all the first-time hunters who are going to be out there and going to shoot at anything they hear or see. I'm afraid that I would be a target instead of a hunter. So I'm not going to be anywhere close to it for the first year. Let me get up here and see what we got. So Pat says, let me get up here. Okay. Oh my gosh, a TV remote war. I guess are they watching the final NCAA championship? Uh, so that I can understand that. Yeah, little lone prepper. I think there's too many things that are happening to be a coincidence. So all of the train wrecks, all of the fires, the plants, the petrochemical stuff. Today, because of all the stuff going on with the dollar and BRICS and the yuan and Kenya Kenya has agreed with Saudi Arabia that they will not use the dollar to buy oil anymore. So because of that, the dollar's down 6% today. Gold and silver are up, which is a good thing. But just think, if they collapse the dollar and the dollar has no value, then they call our debt and they have all these $100 bills. Just think of, think of those pallets of $100 bills we left in Afghanistan. If they hand them over and say, we want the cash for this, we want the gold for this, it's not there. We're going to be bankrupt. And, I think back to the story of Joseph in the Bible. Remember, his brothers sold him into slavery and he was taken to Egypt, and because he interpreted the Pharaoh's dreams, he became the Pharaoh's confidant, and he prepared 7 years for the drought, and then they had 7 years of drought. During the drought, his family came to him, not knowing that he was the brother, wanting to buy grains, and so he sent them back to bring his father and brother back. They came back. They gave them all their gold. Then when they ran out of gold, they gave them all their animals as payment for the grain. And then when they ran out of animals, they sold them the rights to their land in Israel. And then when they ran out of their rights to land in Israel, they sold themselves into slavery. And so, the Jewish slavery in Egypt was in return or in payment for the grain that kept them alive during the drought. And so what we see is that probably, that's going to be the same thing. We're going to have to sell ourselves if we're not prepared for food. And, that can be very concerning. So Pat says, yeah, she agrees that too much is happening, too much going on. She raised around the military, too much is happening outside of our knowledge and the regular behavior. And I wholeheartedly agree. I am afraid of asymmetrical or terroristic actions inside the U.S. How many Syrians, how many Iranians, how many Chinese, how many whatevers have made it across the border? My hometown in El Paso, it is rumored that all of the cartels' upper elites, their families live in El Paso because it's safer than living in Juarez. And, so you take a look at the borders and you ask yourself, what happened to all those gangs? The Crips, the Bloods, and everybody else? They're pretty much controlled now by the gangs, the cartels. And so the cartels are pretty much taken over everything. Probably the only ones that they haven't taken over are the biker groups. And we'll see what happens there, but gosh, hello, Karen. How are you doing? Yeah, and Aqua Run Girl, that's fantastic because we're still doing it on Tuesday nights, and so tomorrow night we've got 2 chapters from this book. We're going to be talking about our bug out bag and first aid. We may not make it through both chapters because both of those are kind of extensive chapters, and so I have a bug out bag. I've had one since I started building my bug out bag in 1980. And then I kept it with me and I kept updating it and replacing things. And I have a whole bunch of stuff that, duplicates and everything else. But it was stolen out of the back of my car in 2015. And so I had to get a new one. And I just bought the Echo Sigma bug out bag online straight from them. I just wanted something that I could get started back so I didn't feel naked. I haven't replaced that much. I didn't like their gloves. I didn't like their cordage. But, very few things that I have to really update that much. So, all these things about you're only going to get junk in a prepackaged bug out bag is not true. If you can find good bug out bags out there. Now, if you get the one that's a $90 special, yeah, you're not going to get anything but pure junk. And if it lasts you 3 weeks, I'd be surprised. Let me see here. Yes. And so, but I had a conversation with Steve Smith, and then I also had one with Toolman Tim, and then I kind of talked about it a little bit with A American. If we take a look at the books, Steve Smith's Stonemont series, if we take a look at Angry Americans series, the Going Home series. He calls it the Survivalist series. Everybody else calls it the Going Home series. And if we take a look at Franklin Horton's series, and he's got two different series, but this one, Locker 9 and his other books, every one of them, and I think they're fairly realistic, do not start with a group. The group forms cohesively. I just knocked a whole bunch of papers off. That's why I'm straightening those up. But they formed cohesively as they went along. So we take a look at the Stonemont series. So the Jim Wyatt, the head guy, he got home on a bicycle, and then Christian and met Mike, and Mike was an ex-Marine sniper. He had a long rifle. Christian had his AR-15 and a pistol. And then, of course, they saved the family of three, which was the judge, Bill, and his wife. I think her name's Ann, and the daughter, I forget her name. So, now you have this nucleus of 5 going into Stonemont. And so it keeps growing. So it was not a cohesive group to start with, but it formed that way. Then if we take a look at A American series, he's up in the northern portion, probably at the Georgia border of Florida, and then he's coming down, trying to get towards the center, near the center of Florida. He runs into Jess, and then he runs into Thad, and then he's got Jeff. So Danny, some of his neighbors, they kind of join in, but they don't join in until after the SHTF. I've tried to form a group here twice of my 100 and some odd houses in this subdivision. And both times it had the same two families show up. So I've given up on it. What I've done instead is I put a kind of a guide on how to get prepared up on our website for our homeowners association. If you want to do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't. I'm not going to put my name out there anymore to make myself any more of a target to my neighbors. If they don't want to get prepared ahead of time, then the 3 families that are involved will be the 3 families that are involved. Diana, too, I was talking with Eric of Nutrient Survival, and I agree with you. One of the things I don't know, for example, the conflict that's going on in Europe, I don't know, am I getting fed the right information? Am I getting fed the wrong information? One news source says, man, the Ukrainians are kicking butt. And, there's the Russians are so devastated that they're having to bring in supplies of T-54, T-55 tanks. Now, T-54, T-55 tanks, the numbers are the years that they were introduced into their inventory, and they were replaced by the T-62. So, I mean, if they're using 1950s, 1960s technology to fight the Ukrainians because all of their T-80s, T-12s, and everything else have been destroyed, it doesn't look good for the Russians. On the other hand, I see other people who are saying the exact same thing about the Ukrainians. As a matter of fact, I just had something come up on one of the news channels saying that all of the aircraft that have been delivered to Ukraine have already been shot down by the Russians. So who do you believe? We don't know. So the only thing I can say is, General Milley this morning had an interview, and evidently it was a Pentagon briefing, and he said, yeah, the Ukrainians are winning. I don't trust General Milley. He's the guy who said that he was going to let the Chinese know if President Trump ever decided to push the button. I just don't know who to trust. Who do you trust? Where do you get good, solid information? And that's a tough question that we don't know the answer to. Manny, welcome. And so Karen asked if there's anybody from Northern Arizona on the chat tonight. Karen, one of the things I would like to recommend to you is Travis from the Prepared Homestead. And he has a website, and I believe it's called the preparedhomestead.com. But you can go in there for free. Put your name in and your area, kind of a zip code, and then you can see if there are other people in your area where you are located. And that's a pretty good thing that Travis has done from the Prepared Homestead, and it's free for the people who are interested. Um, we have another group called CORAC. It's a Catholic group of survivalists, and so we have kind of the same thing. We have different regions and districts within different regions where people can get together and prepare together, and that's a faith-based organization. Then we also have the Texas Preparedness Group, which I'm a member of, but that's statewide, and Texas is so big. Even my local group that I had here in the greater Austin area, we had members as far south as San Antonio, and that's not going to do us any good if we have something happen. We're going to need to have a lot of people a lot closer. I would rather have my two neighbors than all these guys who are down in San Antonio and Luling and places like that. So one of my favorite quotes is, and most of you probably don't, my experience, all of the good TV shows were always on Thursday nights and at 9 o'clock. So Star Trek was on Thursday nights at 9 o'clock. So was Lily Tomlin in Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, and she played the part of Edith Ann. And Edith Ann sat in this rocking chair and dispensed wisdom at the end of the show every Thursday night on Rowan Martin's Laugh-In. And one time she was sitting in this big rocking chair. She was dressed up like a rag doll. And she said, "I want you to know that I've never told a lie in my life, but I do know how to create the truth, and that's the truth." And I think the whole problem is people are creating truths for us to believe, try to believe. And, that's just that's just too bad, because I wish we could get some good Okay, Lori, please stay safe. Take care. Hey, David, how are you doing? I'm going to put the link down here if you would like to join me. Just click on it and we can let you into the stream. This is David Lynn Prepper. Hello, Tofu. Can you do me a favor and put his link? We need to get him up. He needs to really grow his channel, and we need to get a lot of people to join his channel. So if you can put his link up, I would greatly appreciate it. Hello, Holly. I think everybody's having problems. Somehow or other, I got kicked off of this evening about halfway through. And so it's only showing that I've recorded 25 minutes and I started at 8 o'clock. So that's crazy. Manny says, yes, the cartels did take out the gangs. Hello, Tofu. You know what? I respect you. I admire you, and I think you're right. So, yeah, a lot of my family thinks the same thing. I was trying to talk my mother into buying just a shotgun and keeping it there at the house, and then investing in food. As a matter of fact, I went and bought 2 cases from the LDS store, one for my mom and one for my sister, of flour, macaroni, spaghetti, things like that, beans, and everything else, and they kind of scoffed at it. And I think my sister still has it, but she was more interested in talking to the people about religion than she was about preparing. When we went to the LDS store, I took her with me. But that's just how things go. So, hello, Tofu. What I would say is you're probably not going to do anything to convince them of anything. So just go ahead and plan that you're going to have to prepare a little bit extra. I have a family member who thinks I'm crazy too, and allergic to tomatoes. So what have I done? I've got a whole bunch of instant Alfredo sauce, so that if we have spaghetti and the rest of us are eating spaghetti with tomato sauce, that family member can have Alfredo sauce instead. So I'm just going to go ahead and prepare just as if they are going to be here with me, whether they will be or not. Yeah, and Helen and I were talking today. I was so proud of her. when we went to Silver Sneakers today, because we exercise with Silver Sneakers 5 days a week. And when we did our rounds, or walking around the gym, our laps, she wasn't limping at all. I said, gosh, you're at the point now to where you aren't limping. And because she had her hip replaced 1 year before I did. As a matter of fact, she made me have her surgeon do my hip when I had mine. As long as you keep stacking what you eat and finding sales on clothes, etc., as well as self-defense, you will do well. Absolutely correct, Dragon Slayer. Um, and Goodwill is a good place to go get some good stuff. I found a camp stove and a couple other things at Goodwill. I found a fantastic cast iron fry pan with lid at Goodwill. So you can find all kinds of good prepping supplies at Goodwill, St. Vincent de Paul, estate sales. Go to estatesales.com and enter in your zip code and how far you're willing to drive, and they will let you know about all the estate sales that are going on within that radius of where you live on a regular basis. I just got in a new one today that there's going to be a new one, gosh, only about 3 miles away from me, and it's going to start Thursday. It'll be Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and that's something else. Okay, let me see here. Okay, well, we are coming up to that point where it's almost 9 o'clock, and thank you, Hello Tofu, for that prepared homestead link. Um, we've got yeah, and I am likewise the same way. As a matter of fact, I had a handyman who was a good friend, a fishing buddy, and I needed some new shelving. I needed reinforced shelving because my plastic shelving was falling apart in my prepping pantry room. And so I brought him in to help me build some shelves. And I told him, I said, Dave, there's only about 6 people who have ever been inside this room, and you're going to be, number 7. And so I would appreciate that you keep this room to yourself and not let anybody else know what's in it. And I'll be doggone. We went to a business networking meeting the following Tuesday morning, and you know what he first words out of his mouth when he stood up was, "You aren't going to believe what Lee has in his house." And I thought, man, you never know. You never know. You don't know who you can trust and who you can't trust. Um, Hello, Moonsprout. Welcome. Tracy McInfuss, welcome. Uh, yeah, that's probably true. I want to avoid it as much as possible. I'll stay inside my house, stay away from all the crazies. Let them shoot each other, and then I'll just be happy to come take over whatever's left. Hello, diabetic prepper. Welcome. I don't know if you saw my haul or not, but I got some glucose gel for our type 1, brittle type 1, in my last haul show, and I showed that on there so that most people don't understand that being low in blood sugar is more, um, what can we call it? How do we say it? Deadly than being high in blood sugar. And of course, you can go into a coma once your blood sugar gets down below 60. So you need to have something as a first aid in case somebody over medicates with insulin. Um, okay, so here's David Lynn Prepper's link. If you all would be very kind and subscribe to him, I would greatly appreciate it. He's been doing some good giveaways about every 100 people. So, just if you could support him, I would greatly appreciate it. Well, if you could support everybody who follows here, that would be fantastic. Um, I think that there are going to be people. So let's take a look at what's going to happen. When something happens, whatever it is, people are going to be in a state of shock for the first bit. Then as they recover from the shock, then there's going to be anger. The anger is going to be identified or targeted at who did this and how do I get revenge. They're not going to find out who did it, and they're not going to be able to get revenge. So the next one is going to be anger towards those around them. And so there's going to be an awful lot of people who are going to just, be quarreling with each other because they don't know what else to do. So stay inside and away from that as much as possible. I probably won't even step outside my house for the first 30 days after it happens. Uh, so, so Manny, if your daughter says that, then make sure you have plenty there for her. I've even got for my grandchildren, I've got, you know, educational books and study guides from kindergarten all the way up to sophomore year in high school. So you can go to Half Price Books or things like that, or Book Barnes or anything, and they have educational um, pe- materials for people who homeschool. So look for the homeschooling area, and then you can grab those lesson plans and those workbooks and everything else. You can also get the good workbooks at Walmart or Sam's Club or Costco that they use. I don't think so. I think I think that the vast majority of the people who are paying the cartels to have them brought up to the border are paying in local currency and not in U.S. currency. But that's a supposition. I don't have anything to back that up. That's just a guess on my part. But I would say they're probably. Remember, we're talking about poor people from Central America. If somebody shows up with dollars, I'd be very, very surprised. Um, and if they do, they're probably going to be the Syrians, the Russians, the Chinese, people like that. Those kinds of agents will have dollars. Everybody else is going to have local currency. I don't think it. I think that if anything happens that causes the United States to kind of flounder, whether that be an EMP or something like that, then I think that will stop the illegal immigration. However, there will still be the bad actors who want to come across and cause additional harm and possibly take over what we have. Um, Fantastic idea, Adriana. I do the same. As a matter of fact, when we were at Walmart today, I was looking at the large container of parsley because most of the German dishes, I'm convinced that the vast majority of what we're going to cook in a post apocalyptic world are going to be soups, stews, and casseroles. And so the German soups and stews all have parsley in them. So I'm looking to catch up with a whole bunch of parsley in my prepping. Yeah, Gene, I've given up on trying to talk to people and get them to prepare. You're talking to a wall. You're not going to get through to them. They have their beliefs, we have our beliefs, and we're not going to change them. It's almost like a religion. And so, just I probably would not devote that much focus to it. Just say, hey, if it happens, remember you're always welcome at my place. And then when they show up, make sure that they understand. Look, you have a lot of catching up to do. You got to learn first aid. You got to learn this. You got to learn that. You're going to do the handy work, the dirty work. You're going to go get the water. You're going to get the firewood. You're going to be doing a lot of manual labor. This isn't going to be a free ride. So make sure that they understand. They are welcome, but they're going to have to earn their way. Okay, I told my husband this morning, I hope I'm crazy, nuts, or getting some form of older people. I don't want to be correct this time. I don't think any of us really want to be correct, but I have a feeling that we are. No problem, Triple G. So I did tell people earlier that the sonogram came back. No evidence of, now I'm going to say that this is probably what it means, but it said uh, DVT. So I'm thinking that is deep vein thrombosis, but there's no evidence of it. So we still don't know what's causing it, but I was telling them that you told me about whatever that medicine was, that see if there's not an alternative to it, if I, because you don't, you prefer to see me not take it. Um, wow, that is phenomenal. What a great idea. Okay, let me get through all these and we'll call it quits for the evening. Uh, Anything else that people really feel concerned about? Um, yeah, I was talking to Becky Goff, and I was telling her, get a good foraging book. Listen, if you all don't subscribe to Prepping with Sarge, so Prepping with Sarge, I've had him here on the channel, interviewed him. He is a social worker, clinical psychologist, and so he does a lot of foraging. And so he teaches a lot about foraging in his area, which is going to be South Carolina. And every area is different for foraging. And like I said, I'm very lucky. We have prickly pear here, and prickly pear is a very edible cactus. And so, yeah, we're very lucky to have that. We have a lot of other stuff that's very edible around here as well. So, get yourself a good foraging book for your area. And if you can get somebody just take you out and walk you through. Boy Scouts will be happy to walk you through and show you everything they know about all the trees, plants, what to eat and what not to eat. Um, okay, type 2, yeah. Okay, let me see here. I just did a new comments to the bottom, so I've missed a whole bunch. Let me see here. Gosh, there's an awful lot of comments above where I am, so we need to get through these quick. Oh, I'm sorry about your. Yeah, that's right. You mentioned your sister, but you've devoted your entire life to taking care of her. So, in a sense, that's giving you taking a little bit off your shoulders. Um, Hi, Nene. Welcome. Glad to see you back. Um, let's see. Yeah, my wife is getting ready to go up to support her sister. Of course, y'all know that a week ago today, we were at her sister's husband's funeral. So that caused us a little bit of a problem last week as well. But no, I'm sorry, it was on Tuesday. Yeah, it was on Tuesday. But anyhow, so my wife's going to go up and be with her for a couple of days and try to help her out. There's a lot of things going on there. Um, I used to tell people especially when I was working at Dell, they would send me over to Asia Pacific quite often. And you get, and Asian money is kind of like monopoly money because you're doing thousands of yen, let's say. And so I went to the Ginza when I was in Tokyo, and I had been in Penang for 3 months, and then in Singapore for a while, and all over down real far, close to the equator. And so I just wanted some ice cream, and I went to the Ginza to get a frosty, little bitty frosty, probably a 10-ounce frosty, and it was X thousand of yen. And since everything is in thousands of yen, you don't even think about it. I went back to my hotel room, did the conversion for what I paid for that frosty, a little bitty chocolate frosty, and it ended up being something like $22 for a little bitty frosty. So that's when I think of monopoly money, I think of Asian money. Um, okay, Pat, take care. Please be safe. Um, You can spice both of those up. So I'll try to do so as soon as I learn how to edit. And I think I got it down where I can probably get that done. Um, no, I can't feed everyone, and you're absolutely right. But I can feed some, and there's a story of the starfish, and there's this guy is walking along the beach, and he sees what he thinks is a guy practicing ballet. And as he gets closer, it's a kid picking up starfish and throwing them back into the sea. And the guy says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm throwing starfish back into the sea. They were brought up here, and the tide's going back out, and they're caught in the sand. And if I don't throw them back out into the sea, they're going to die." And he says, "Well, geez, that's kind of futile. You can't save them all. Why in the world would you do it? What does it matter?" And he picked up a starfish, threw it in the sea. He says, "That one mattered." And so that's my view about taking care of people around me is that one mattered. If I can save one person, that's one person more than was saved before, as far as feeding them. But I also have to be very concerned, because when you take care of people, you also open yourself up for exploitation by other people who aren't as good. Even you can even be exploited by the people you're taking care of. I learned that in my time working in the homeless shelter. So moonsprout, what a great idea. Canned soups, stews, chili, heat and eat, absolutely. And most of those are already pre-cooked. So all you have to do is you don't even have to warm them up. You can eat them straight out of the can. Um, yes, we do need to strengthen our borders. And here in Texas as well, and even in the interior of Texas here, you can see how it's having an effect. And I don't know how they're getting jobs because they can't get identification. They're considered illegal, and according to the Immigration Control Act, any employer who hires one without proper identification can, it's a criminal prosecution. So I don't know how they're getting jobs or how they're being supported, but gosh, there was a group of them. I'm fairly sure it was a group, by the way they acted, looked, and talked, when I was at Walmart earlier today. And how are they getting their money? How are they feeding themselves? I'm afraid of that. I am really, really afraid of that. Um, you are so lucky, Holly. Oh yeah, Manny, if you can put the link to that, or at least the name to it, so everybody else could see it, that would be fantastic. Um, okay. I'm very afraid that South America is moving to my rural town 6 past months. So many new faces and taking over the housing. Yes, both. And I'm originally from El Paso, so you're not going to see anything uh, like what we have in El Paso or Del Rio or Brownsville. The border cities are just being inundated like you would not believe. Um, and Yeah, we've got to get a handle on this in the very near future. If you vote for me and elect me president, then one of my first executive orders would be that to let the illegals and of any nationality, if you're here illegally, you've got 7 days to voluntarily depart the country. If you don't voluntarily extradite yourself away from the country, at the end of the 7 days, then everything that you have will be confiscated to pay for us to ship you back to your country of origin. So if you've earned dollars, if you have clothing or anything else, it's going to be put up for auction. And that's going to pay for your trip back to where you came from. And then you're going to be put in a database and you can never come here again. And if we catch you illegally, then we'll throw you in jail. What a great idea. I have all kinds of books that I need to crack open. So yeah, I think we're together. Okay, it looks like we're getting close to the end. Yay, I'm caught up. Hello, Janae. Welcome. Triple G, thank you so much. Gosh, and you've been putting such great information up in the community tab. of integrative preparedness. So y'all, if you would also, Hello Tofu, if you can put up integrative preparedness or integrative preparedness, Steve Smith's channel. Triple G does a lot of uploading to the community channel there with a lot of fantastic information that I think people should be aware of. Yes, David, I wholeheartedly agree. I was watching some congressional discussions with Secretary Mayorkas, and evidently the money was allocated for the wall and it has been suspended for the last 2 years. But Congress approved the money for the wall. They basically are letting it rot. Portions of the wall have already been purchased, just not erected. It's just rusting and going away. It needs to be put up. And so Secretary Mayorkas wants to divert those funds to other things in border protection rather than the wall. But okay, so here we go. Little Lone Prepper says that it's called Picture This in the App Store. So that's recommended for so you can forage and know what you can and cannot eat in your local area. Okay, so here's the integrated preparedness link. Thank you, Hello Tofu. So I also subscribe to that. And then when you get there, check the community tab. There's all kinds of great stuff there. Hello, Texas Redleg. Welcome. And so pretty much takes care of it. Anybody have anything in particular they're concerned about that we need to discuss before we call it a night? So don't forget, we've got tomorrow night, we're going to be talking about your bug out bag. We're going to be talking about first aid. If we make it that far, those are the 2 chapters. I think it's 13 and 14 in this book. Then Thursday night, we're going to be doing book 5 of the Survivalist series, the Going Home series. Then Thursday the 20th. So each Tuesday night this week, we're doing the next couple of weeks, we're doing the nonfiction. So that's basically survival handbooks. We've got 3 Thursday night fiction book clubs. So the Thursday, the 6th, we're doing book 5 of the Survivalist series. The 20th, we're doing book 6 of the Stonemont series. And Steve Smith, the author, is going to be here with us. So please, if you have any questions about his series or have any questions for him, feel free to do it. He sent me, because we've done such a good job of reviewing his books on here, he sent me a complete set of his books autographed, which means that all 6 books that I have are now available to be given away as a prize when I get to 10,000 subscribers. So I will be sending all 6 books as a gift to somebody when we do our drawing when I get to 10,000 subscribers. Yes, so Texas Redleg is saying that Academy has all kinds of stuff. As I mentioned earlier, that's going to be my trip tomorrow. I never used my Academy credit card. They said, okay, if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So I lost it. Went to Academy, applied for a new one, got 15% off that purchase. Then they sent me along with my card. I got another 15% off. So I'm going to go spend $100 in Freedom Seeds tomorrow, get 15% off. And, then you get 5% off whenever you use your regular credit card. Although I don't like using credit cards for Freedom Seeds. I just don't like the government knowing whether I have any or not. Now, I don't like them knowing the caliber either. Dragon Slayer, thanks for being here. And David Lynn, don't forget to subscribe to him. Please do me a favor also. Texas Redleg is another one of my favorites. Oh, gosh. I've got a great group. What a great group. One of these nights, what we need to do is just focus on getting everybody on here, all the followers that they need. So with that, keep your eyes open. I think that, right now we're simmering. We're coming close to a boil. And when it boils, I'm afraid that the pot's going to overflow and we're going to see some weird stuff going on. Hello, Cat Lady. and Calamity Jane, or Clarity Jane, welcome. But so here we go. So the Lord bless you and keep you. Um, Lord, make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you peace. So tomorrow night, we're going to do bug out bag and first aid, if we get to first aid, from the book. So this is chapters 13 and 14 of Decline and Decay by A. American. And then Thursday night, we're going to do his book 5 in the survival series. Thank you all for being here. And thank you for tolerating the interruption when we got cut off earlier this evening. Really, really appreciate it. Remember, we're all in this together so we can come out the other side together. Please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other. Take care of each other. We have got to be the leaders. We have got to be the ones who have our heads fairly on our shoulders, understand the calamity that we're facing, and we've got to stand with our head high and direct other people on how they can survive this, whatever it is that's coming towards us. So I'll see you tomorrow night. Everybody, please take care, stay safe, and keep your head on a swivel and watch what's going on around you. Take care. Bye-bye.